Hello and welcome to this short introduction on using the 4th edition of the Australian Guide to Legal Citation. My name's Annette and I am a law librarian here at JCU. So why do we reference in the first place? Firstly, it's an assessment requirement. It helps you demonstrate what we call academic integrity and helps you avoid what we call academic misconduct, which can potentially have an effect for your legal practice admissions as well. So let's talk about this a little bit further. Assessment items at university have marking criteria related to things like research skills and referencing conventions. And referencing demonstrates your academic literacy and ability to draw on sources to support your ideas. So whether you're coming from high school or whether you're coming from a different discipline, you may have used a different referencing style before. Maybe it was APA or maybe it was Chicago. The AGLC is just a different type of referencing style. And again, it might be different to referencing styles that you've been traditionally used to. When we talk about academic integrity, we talk about referencing as a way to demonstrate that. And so what academic integrity means is that you are making a commitment now that you are studying at the tertiary level, at the university level, to act ethically, to act with honesty and respect and fairness in the creation of information in an academic environment. Academic misconduct is conduct that attempts to or succeeds to obtain unfair advantage through things like plagiarism, collusion, cheating, etc., which breaches the idea of academic integrity. So things like not referencing or not referencing correctly can be considered academic misconduct. And you can read the JCU academic misconduct procedure if you want more information on that. If you have a claim of academic misconduct put against you, it can impact your suitability for admission into legal practice, because it may result in a failure for you to be judged as a fit and proper person. And you can take a look at this case that I've referenced here to get an idea of what that looks like. So now, moving on, what is AGLC4? Like I mentioned at the beginning, it's the Australian Guide to Legal Citation. We're on to the 4th edition at the moment, and it's the referencing style recommended for JCU law students, and in fact law students all around Australia. At its core, AGLC is what we call a footnoting style. We have a couple of print copies available at the library, or you can purchase your own. If you're intending to study law, for 3-4 years, I suggest that you purchase your own edition. But there is a free copy available online from the Melbourne University Law School, and I'll just show you how to get there from the Law Library homepage. So from JCU Library, to get to the Law Guide, we just click through to the Guides tab and type in Law. From here, we just click through to the front page, and we're heading towards referencing, and you can download a free copy. You can also just Google it as well. So here we have the online version of the AGLC, and what I recommend you do is take a look at the how to use this guide section first. Essentially what it's saying is for you to read part 1, which is the general rules section here, and then as you need to, so say that you need to learn how to reference a case, or you need to learn how to reference a piece of legislation. From there, jump down to the cases section and read about how to cite a case, or then jump to the legislative materials. It can be a bit intimidating. This document is 300 pages. So again, start with the general rules, jump to where you need to. Here are some quick tips on PDF navigation. Essentially, you can navigate by page number by using the contents page or the index. On AGLC, there are bookmark pages, which I was just showing you, or you can just do a Control plus F to do a search within that PDF for the keyword that you're looking for. Just a note with AGLC Online, the appendixes are not available in the online version, but they are available in the print version. I find the appendixes quite useful when you're looking at things like how to tell if a case is authorized. There's a list of abbreviations at the back there. Alright, so some AGLC4 basics. This is what I'm going to be talking to you about today. 8 or so broad things that you need to kind of get a handle on when you're first learning about AGLC. So number 1, footnoting. AGLC4 is a footnoting style. What that means is that in-text citations appear as numbered superscripts after the punctuation at the end of a sentence. That superscript number refers the reader to the corresponding footnote at the bottom of each page, and your footnotes acknowledge your sources. And if you want to go to AGLC4, you can read Rule 1.1. Here's an example of footnoting just taken from the AGLC. So you can see here at the top of the example, we have the in-text written words with the number 1 as the superscript there. And again, that number 1 corresponds with the footnote at the bottom of the page, which looks like a couple of cases. Footnote punctuation. A full stop should appear at the end of every footnote. And if you're citing multiple sources in one footnote, you need to use a semicolon to separate them. So take a look at the rules 1.1.3 to 1.1.4 for more information on that. So the example of that footnote punctuation there, at the end of footnote number 1, we obviously have a full stop. You can see that's also at the end of footnote number 2. And you can see in footnote number 2, multiple pieces of information have been cited. So it looks like there's a piece of legislation there, semicolon, a journal article, semicolon, another journal article, and then a full stop. Some people might not know how to insert a footnote using Word. So if you're using Word, you should have a References tab. If you click on that, then in that ribbon on the top of the page, you just need to click on Insert Footnote. Obviously, make sure that your cursor is in the right spot at the end of your sentence, again, after that punctuation. Once you click Insert Footnote, it's going to put that little number there, and you can see down the bottom of your page, it starts to build those footnotes. So you can type your full citation directly in there. Okay, 3, pinpoints. A pinpoint is used to reference a specific part of a source. So a pinpoint could either be a page number, a paragraph, footnote, or other section of a source, depending what it is. If you are having a span of pinpoint references, so maybe what you're referring to goes over multiple pages or multiple paragraphs, you use a non-space n dash to separate them. So take a look at rules 1.1.6 to 1.1.7 for more information on that. If we have a look at these examples of pinpoints, you can see in footnote 30, it looks like it's referencing some paragraphs. So those paragraphs are in square brackets, and you can see there's a span there, 90 to 97. If we look at footnote 31, it looks like it's a book, and it's telling us to go to page 15 as that pinpoint. For footnote 32, it looks like it's a case. It's telling us to go to paragraph 23, which is on page 6. And that last footnote, number 33, it's pointing us to a journal article, and it's saying, please look on page 745. Ibid is a word that means in the same place. And we use ibid in consecutive footnotes to refer to the same source instead of repeating the entire reference. The word ibid should be capitalized, and if the pinpoint is different, then include it after ibid. It should not be separated by a comma. So you can read more about this in Rule 1.4.3. Let's have a look at some examples. So you can see in footnote 68 here, we have referenced a book called Freedom of Speech. I've continued to use that book in my reference, footnote 69. It says see ibid. For footnote number 70, again, I've used that same reference from Freedom of Speech, but I've used a different page number, page 162. Right, so it's the same source that's being cited kind of consecutively, 68, 69, 70. Let's have a look at repeat or subsequent references. This might help also clear up some of the IBID stuff as well. We have to use the letter N followed by the earlier footnote number in brackets for references that are non-consecutive. And you need to apply this to all of the repeated references, including cases and legislation. Do not use N for immediately preceding footnotes unless they contain multiple sources. So take a look at Rule 1.4.1 for more information. Let's have a look at these examples here. For footnote 48, we are looking at a book called Mistakes in Contract Law. I've gone and cited something else for footnote 49, but then I'm coming back to that Macmillan book. So saving me from typing out that whole citation again, I can just kind of refer back to it. So what I'm saying here is go look at the Macmillan footnote number 48, but look at the pinpoint on page 41. Because that is footnote 50 and not footnote 49, for example, I don't use IBID. If I was going to cite that Macmillan book in footnote 49, then I would be perfectly fine to use IBID. But because I've gone and cited something else, and then for my 50th footnote gone back to the Macmillan book, I then have to use this subsequent references. Let's take a look at another example. In footnote 53, we've cited a case called Penfold Wines. That was the first time that we cited it. You can see at the end we've given it a short title. I've done another reference for footnote 54, done another one for 55, and now I'm on to 56 again. So instead of writing out that whole case, I can just say, hey, go and look at the Penfold Wines full citation at number footnote 53 on page 224. All right, moving on to quotations. In AGLC4 style, quotations may be used in the body of the text and in footnotes. So if your quote is 3 lines or less, keep it within your paragraph and put it in single quotation marks. So look at Rule 1.5.1. Let's have a look at this example. So you can see it starts in those red boxes with those single quotation marks. The doctrine of parliamentary sovereignty is fundamental to the British Constitution. It's within that whole paragraph because it's less than 3 lines. And then we have the footnote. For long quotations, if your quote is more than 3 lines, make it a separate block of text. You need to indent this block from the left margin, single space it, and don't use quotation marks. End the text before the quote with a colon. So let's look at Rule 1.5.1 if you want more information on that. And here's an example. So you can see in the text of my assessment, I've put a semicolon and then I want to quote. So you can see it's indented from the left margin and the rest of the citation is at the end there. If you need to change or add words to a quote, put your changes in square brackets. If you need to cut out some parts of the quote, use 3 dots or ellipses to show that. And obviously make sure that any changes don't alter the original meaning of the quote. So see Rules 1.5.3 and 1.5.5 for more information. So you can see this example here. It doesn't kind of change the meaning of that text at all. Next, if we just talk about author names in your footnotes. So if you have a single author, you write the name as first name, last name. So example, Sally Smith. If you have 2 or 3 authors, then you write both of the author names separated with an and. So you've got Sally Smith and John Park. If you had 3 authors, it would be Sally Smith, John Park, and Mary Lee. If you have more than 3 authors for a source, list the first author's name followed by et al., which means and others. So Sally Smith et al., and then continue with the reference from there. So taking a look at these examples, in footnote number 1, we've got Elise Bant as the author. In number 2, we have Kylie Burns and Terry Hutchinson. And then in footnote 3, we have David Tan et al. All right, bibliography formatting. A bibliography lists all the sources you used or referred to in your work, even if you don't cite them in your footnotes. The style of bibliography formatting is a little bit different. So in this instance, the name of the first author is inverted. So that means that their last name comes first, then their first name. You do not include pinpoint references in your bibliography. And there's no full stop at the end of a bibliography entry. In law, you only use a bibliography if you are specifically asked by your lecturer to, so always confirm with them. There's also a specific way in which AGLC wants you to format your bibliography. So in terms of the order, the sources should be in alphabetical order by the author's last name. And if there's no author, then use the title of the work. So you can take a look at Rule 1.13 for that. AGLC also wants you to divide your bibliography into sections. So section A is articles, books and reports, section B is cases, section C is legislation, D is treaties, and E is anything else. So it might be a website, for example. So you can leave out a section if you don't have any of that type. So say, for example, for whatever reason you don't cite any legislation. Then you can just re-letter accordingly. So it would be A, articles, B, cases, C, treaties, and so forth. So here is an example of a bibliography. So you can see we've got the articles, books, and reports at the top. Then we've got our cases listed, our legislation, treaties, etc. So that's what an example bibliography looks like. That's it for me today. If you have any further questions, remember you can connect with us at JCU Library via the phone, chat, or email, or you can book an appointment with me from that contacts page, or you can find my details on the Law Library Guide.